Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining today's Microsoft Marketplace Partner Office Hour. Super excited to have you all here today, and we will get started in just a minute. Today's topic is multi-currency private offers in Microsoft Marketplace, and we will bring our Microsoft team in just a minute to cover this topic. If you're joining us live today, definitely encourage you to submit your questions throughout today's session while you're watching the presentation. We will have time at the end of today's presentation to answer those Q&A. And if you are not joining us live, still encourage you to engage with this content and to submit your questions about this topic through our Marketplace community. If you're not a member of the community already, please check it out and make sure to join the community today. You can subscribe to the community to get notifications about this event, as long as all the other resources that we have available to partners on Marketplace. And the link for that is up on the screen. It's aka.ms/community/marketplace. And again, if you're not a member of the community already, definitely encourage you to join. So with that being said, we will go on and bring in our speakers. I'm happy to introduce Chasen Fong, Jamie Swalene, David Nejur. They will be guiding us through multi-currency private offers in Microsoft Marketplace. And the last comment here before I hand it over is that just a reminder, this office hour is part of a Marketplace Partner Office Hour series. So this is only one topic that we've covered related to partners on Marketplace. And all of the other office hours for the series, you can navigate to the community and find the whole library of resources there. So with that being said, I will go ahead and hand it over to the team. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Justin. Hi, everybody. My name is Jamie, and I have my colleagues Chasen and David with us, and we are part of the Marketplace Fast Track team here at Microsoft, and we are excited to talk to you about currencies today. So with that, we will here are the things we're going to cover today's session. So let's dive in. So if you want to click the next slide, please, Chasen. All right, so we're going to set the foundations. Next slide. So on the Microsoft Marketplace, we have over 141 geographies that you can sell to. And within those geographies, there are 16 different marketplace currencies that are assigned to each of those geographies. So what does that mean from a customer perspective? When a customer signs up for Azure, they have a billing profile that gets created and a billing currency that automatically gets assigned based on where their legal address is when they signed up. So if you have a customer with a legal address in the United States, they will have USD set as their billing currency. For a full list of that billing currency to geography mapping, you can scan the QR code there to see that list. On the partner side, when you enroll in the commercial marketplace, you set up a payment profile. A payment profile consists of your tax profile and your bank account and your payout currency. You can select any payout currency that you want. There's only one restriction in that if you have a bank account located in the United States, the only currency is USD. If you have a bank account located outside of the United States, there's over 100 different currencies that you can select. Please make sure that your bank can accept payment in that currency before you select it to receive your payouts from Microsoft. So currency conversion happens when that payout currency and the customer billing currency are different. So let's go to the next slide. So there are a couple different places where the currency conversion happens here in Marketplace. So when you go to set up a public or private offer, you will get to set that price in USD. And it's important to note here that that conversion from that USD price into those 16 local market currencies happens the first time you hit save. So when you go in and let's say, hypothetically, you put a private offer or a public offer at $100 USD, Microsoft will automatically convert that $100 in USD into each of those 16 currencies. And so you can go in and look and see what that price is. Hypothetically, let's say that converted into 90 euros. If you want to override that price because you want to charge your customers a different price than what Microsoft used to convert that, there is a process where you can override that. Say you want to make that to be 95 euros, and we'll cover how to do that in the next couple of slides. So after you've set those prices, when that offer is first saved, the next event that will happen is the customer purchase. There is a rare case here where customers can have a different billing currency from the local market currency. This is a rare scenario and just has an additional FX rate change to convert from that billing currency from the local currency to the billing currency. But again, that is rare, does not happen all the time. So when the customer creates that purchase and it's time for your payout, what happens is if that partner currency is different than the payout currency, using the month of the transaction of when the purchase happened, there will be that conversion from the customer's billing currency into the partner payout currency. So using that example, if the customer purchased that 95 euros, that will get converted back into USD, assuming your payout currency is USD. Now, the FX rate that Microsoft uses is always going to be a monthly FX rate. There's not daily, it's all monthly. So it's all based on that month that the FX rates will be the same for that whole month based on when offers are first saved, as well as when transactions happen. It's all using that monthly FX rate. Next slide. So what is the FX rate that we're using? So Microsoft uses the WM Refinitiv London spot rate. For example, there's based on 3 business days. We are not allowed to kind of publish that, but you can go and subscribe to the Financial Times site to see all of those rates that we are using. However, it is possible to see the FX rates that Microsoft is using for the current month using a kind of private offer, and we'll go through exactly how to pull that once we get into the demo slides. Next slide. All right, so now we're going to go into the demo to actually see how we do this process. Next slide. All right, so here we have an example for both a public offer and a private offer. So we'll open those up and we'll put in that USD price. So we're putting $100. After we hit save, then we can go and hit that export pricing data down under that market pricing option down at the bottom of the screen. Next slide. This will open up in Excel where you can look and see those prices. So again, here in our example, we put in $100 USD, and you can see here, it's kind of small, that converted into 86 euros, 86.80 euros. So you can see that conversion. And again, if that's not the price that you want your customer to be charged in, you are able to override that. So you have to hit Enable Editing up at the top, delete that 86 and put in, say, 90 euros. Then you'll hit Save, and then next slide. Go back to the private offer or the public offer UX and hit the Import Excel, where you'll import that Excel with those updated prices. Hit Save, and then you'll see a little notification up on the top that says market pricing was updated successfully. Next slide. After you've done that, you won't be able to see those exact prices in the UI. It'll have this note here that says you've set custom pricing. To be able to view it, would do kind of the same process where you would hit export and see that price list where you've updated that number to be, say in this example, to be 90 euros. Next slide. So when we're talking about private offers, there are a couple of different sales motions where you have the option to kind of make these edits with this kind of override. So in a direct customer private offer, when you're the SDC, you can do this process where you can, when you're doing absolute pricing, you can go and change what that price is in that specific local customer currency. If you're doing a discount-based private offer, that will just say you're taking a discount from the publicly available price that you set up originally, so you won't be able to do any of this override. In an MPO offer, if you're the SDC, same process, you'll be able to kind of use this override pricing. If you are acting as the channel partner in an MPO transaction, you won't be able to do any of this specific change because you're just adding a markup percentage that is calculated in the customer currency and then converted into your payout currency. Same scenario if you're doing a REO transaction, if you're the reseller and acting as a SDC, you have the ability to do the override. As a channel partner doing the markup, you don't have the ability. In a CSP private offer, you also can only do a margin discount based on the public-facing price. So any customer different pricing in those local currencies has to be done at the public offer price. Next slide. So this is how to view the current FX rates that Microsoft is using. So if you want to see the current rates for the month, what you would do is kind of create a new dummy private offer. You can always delete it at the end so it doesn't clog up your Partner Center private offer page, but you'll add a product and just hit configure price. Enter $1 and hit save. Now, it's important to note that if you have whatever product you put in there, if it has a public price of $1, because you don't want to reveal, your public pricing, you'll need to initiate a price change so that the new FX rates can get refreshed. So you can choose any amount, put $5, hit save, then go back and put $1. After you hit $1 and hit save again, you'll follow that same process to hit export pricing data, and then you're able to see all the FX rates that Microsoft is using for the month. Next slide. And now I will turn it over to Jason to talk more about additional concepts and examples.
Thanks, Jamie. So I'm going to start talking about price changes here. And before I get started, I wanted to remind everyone that it's important to remember that for both public and private offers, they share the same fundamental FX behaviors. That is, the price is set in USD, the FX rate gets locked at that first save, the USD price gets converted to all applicable local currencies and locked for the customer, and then for the partner payout, it's converted back using the FX rate at the time of the transaction. So all of those foundational concepts that Jamie just walked you through, those apply to both public and private offers. Now, when it comes to price changes, for any subsequent price changes, this really only applies at the public offer level, meaning for all of those public plans and private plans that live directly underneath your public offer listing, once those plans are published live, you can do a price change later. And when you do that, that will refresh the FX rate at the time of the new save. But you'll want to be aware that for your customer, when you make price changes, any increases will require about 90 days to take effect for your customer, while the decreases will kick in for the customer in the following month. So just be aware of that timing. Now for private offers, as everyone knows, this is time-bound custom deal making with very customized terms. So you cannot change pricing nor refresh the rate in the middle of that private offer contract. Once that private offer is published and extended to your customer, it gets locked at the local price and rate. So to recap, for public offers, you can refresh the rate with subsequent price changes. Private offers, you cannot refresh the rate. You will have to create a net new private offer if you wanted to enact a new rate. Another thing we want to call out is if you want to help mitigate FX fluctuation on private offers, you can try stacking separate 1-year private offers so that you're always creating the private offer in the same month that it's going to be purchased by your customer. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep the FX rate that's used for customer billing and the FX rate used for your partner payout as consistent and close as possible, essentially netting one another out. In this next example here, I wanted to share how currency conversion will work on multi-year deals. So here we have a partner that's transacting a 3-year private offer for $300,000, $100,000 per year. The partner gets paid in USD, but the customer's billing currency is euro. When the partner goes to create the private offer, they enter the 100K per year price in USD. And upon that first save, the FX rate will be converted to euro. And in this example, it gets locked at 0.917. And that results in a local price of 91,743 euro for the end customer for all 3 years of the deal. And we can see in this example, the customer is in fact being billed that exact same local pricing for all 3 years. Now for the partner's payout, This will get converted from the customer's euro currency back to partner's USD currency using the monthly FX rate at the time of the renewal billing, so the time of the transaction. You can see here that for the first year, the partner gets back the 100K as expected, since that customer purchased the year one offer in the same month that the offer was created and saved. But as each year progresses, that FX rate will shift with each new renewal date, causing the partner's payout to fluctuate slightly year over year. And that's just assuming that FX rates will naturally shift over time. So over the course of the 3 years, in this example, the partner receives $10,000 higher than expected due to those FX fluctuations. And of course, this can go either way. The partner may get slightly less than expected. It just really depends on how that rate is shifting at those future points in time. Next, I wanted to show you an example of how currency conversion works on metered billing, which essentially follows all the same fundamental currency concepts, but it does have its own nuances. So here in this example, we have a partner who wants to emit a $10,000 meter charge for overage based off of a private offer that was first created and saved in January of 2025. So the partner's currency is USD, and the meter unit price that they set is 1 cent in USD. The customer's currency is SEK. So that 1 cent unit price gets converted to 0.011 SEK and locked for the customer using the January 2025 first saved FX rate. Now let's say the partner wants to submit the overage in February. They submit 1 million unit quantities to enact a $10,000 overage charge. The customer is billed on this the following month in March for those 1 million units. Remember that they were locked at a 0.011 SEK unit price. So their resulting bill is going to be 110 SEK. And for the partner's payout, that 110 SEK total bill for the customer gets converted back to the partner's USD currency at the March 2025 FX rate, the date of the billing, resulting in 10,363 per payout. So I think one of the callouts here is, as with all currency conversion behavior on partner payout, the FX is applied at the month of the billing charge. That's when the revenue is recognized and the customer is billed. It's not when usage happens in the case with meters. So in this example, the partner's payout is using the March 2025 FX rate. Finally, here we wanted to just close out on some best practices to help you mitigate and navigate FX fluctuation. So first here, you're going to want to use that export pricing data Excel sheet that Jamie demoed earlier to set those local prices in your customer's billing currency wherever possible. You do not need to rely on Microsoft's auto-converted pricing if you can avoid it. You'll also want to use the export pricing data Excel to be aware of the monthly FX rates, as Jamie demoed earlier as well. And that way you can have visibility into the rates and local pricing that Microsoft's using. You can pull that export to verify, and you can even use it to set expectations for your payout. For multi-year contracts, as we discussed earlier, you may want to consider using separate stacked one-year private offers instead of a single multi-year offer, just to give you the opportunity to reprice each year and avoid those FX shifts that we saw in the previous example. And on that note, again, timing is really, really important. You're going to want to try to get that private offer saved and purchased by the customer all within the same month so that the rate used for both the customer billing and the partner payout are the same, if not extremely close, essentially washing one another out. You may also consider establishing separate seller IDs by region to receive payouts in different regional currencies to different regional bank accounts, thereby avoiding that currency conversion back to a single payout currency. Also, always good to confirm your customer's billing currency well in advance before creating that private offer. You never want to assume this information. Just go and ask your customer directly and plan accordingly to avoid any surprises. And finally here, always plan ahead for edge case scenarios. For example, we mentioned earlier that rare scenario where the customer's billing currency may not match the supported marketplace currency. And in this case, private offers actually won't work. You'll be directed in the Partner Center UX to use a private plan instead. So all the more reason to not wait until the last minute and just get ahead of these types of currency scenarios. And with that, that's our session. So we can move on to questions.
Sorry about that. Thank you all for that great session, and thanks everybody for joining. We do have time for Q&A. So again, if you are watching us live, it's not too late to submit your questions, and we will try to answer as many as we can during this time. The first question we have, what currencies are available on Marketplace to transact in?
Yeah, so I can take that one. So there are 16 local currencies that customers can transact in. And for the full list, that is available on both the geographic availability learn page as well as the customer's FX documentation page.
Okay, easy enough. Thank you, Jamie. Next question, where can partners and customers go for help if they have questions around currency?
I can take that one. So outside of the Learn articles that we shared earlier in this presentation, if you're seeking more of an educational discussion, we would suggest first reaching out to your assigned Fast Track Engagement Manager or your assigned PDM if you have one to help clarify some of those foundational concepts. But otherwise, for very specific questions on FX events, such as, how your payout was calculated with currency conversion or confirming an FX rate, we would suggest first reviewing the insights and earnings reports that's available to you. And then beyond that, go ahead and open a support ticket in Partner Center.
Great. Thanks, Jason. Next question. For the scenario where customer currency may not match the supported local currency, which customer countries does this mostly happen with?
I can take that one. This scenario happens in 6 countries. That would be Brazil, Canada, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and Switzerland. When you have customers in these countries, it's best to confirm their billing currency as well in advance so you can determine if there's a mismatch or not.
Great. Thanks, David. And what happens if exchange rates fluctuate after the deal is created?
Yes. Oh, go ahead, David.
Yeah, so I can take this one. So if there's exchange rates after the deal is created, the best thing to do is go ahead and take a look at your Partner Center reporting to go ahead and check to see what actually did occur. So there are 2 places you can go. There are 2 workspaces. One is called the Insights reporting, and there's a revenue report. And so you'll be able to see the transaction, and then actually you'll be able to see, you can be able to figure out the exchange rate being used. There's also an earnings report, and these are for sales that are eligible for payout. Again, that's where you'll be able to actually see the transactions and actually be able to see the actual what has occurred and what you have earned and what currency you've earned that in.
Great, thanks, David. Next question, I think this one might be for you, Chasen. What is the best way to confirm my customer's billing currency?
Yeah, so always confirm directly with the customer. You never want to assume this information. Please just ask the customer directly and do it well in advance of that private offer creation so that you have all that information beforehand.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, scanning through to see if we have, oh, yep, we do have one more. Can I price a private offer in local currency instead of USD?
I can take that one. So you have to put in the private offer amount in USD, and then it'll get automatically converted into those local currencies. And so there's no way to directly enter, say, just a euro amount private offer. But what you can do is hit that export pricing, where then you can override that price that got automatically converted from USD to, say, euro, and put in exactly the amount that you want your customer to be charged. So it's one extra step, but that way you can ensure the exact price that you want to charge your customer in their local currency.
Thanks, Jamie. Next question, can multi-currency be used with multi-party private offers?
So I can take that one. Yes, so they function the same, where it's the same customer are going to have their kind of local billing currency, and you can do the same process where you set up that price in USD and then convert that into whatever currency that customer is transacting in and set that price. So it works the same as the direct to customer private offer.
Thanks, Jamie. Okay, the last question, and I think all of you might be able to contribute to this one. How can partners reduce friction in multi-currency transactions?
I'll start and I'll pass it over to Jamie and David if they have any other best practices. The number one that I see for partners who are very, very sensitive to FX risk is that they create the separate one-year stacked private offers, just so that you're creating that private offer and repricing each year and making sure that the FX rate that's being used for the customer billing is the same FX rate that's being used for your payout. That's the one that I see the most if you're really, really sensitive to FX fluctuations.
David?
Yeah, so what I see too is partners doing is they create multiple partner accounts. So for example, if someone's doing business a lot in Europe, and a lot of our countries do support the euro currency, creating a partner center that pays out in euro, and so that way you match with your customers' currencies. So that would be one way, again, a tip to make sure that it's more, you have to manage multiple accounts, but it's a way that you can manage multiple currencies to ensure you can reduce the FX rates in the marketplace.
And David took what I was going to say, so Jason and David answered it.
Okay. Well, looks like we got through all of the questions, actually. And again, for anybody watching this asynchronously, not joining us live, you can still contribute questions to the Marketplace community. And I manage that community, so we will make sure to get your answers back to you through the community forum. And again, if you're not a member, please join the community at aka.ms/community/marketplace. That is a wrap for today. Before we end, any final thoughts or comments from any of you, Chasen, Jamie, or David?
Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for your time, and also to recommend all the documentation we have on the site, really helpful with the FAQs. So please go ahead and use those as references when you have questions about currency in the marketplace.
Definitely. Thank you, David. All right. Thanks everybody for joining, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.